Well, hello there and welcome. In today's video, we're going to be covering the topic of career fulfillment. Since work takes up a large chunk of everyone's life, I think it's something to try and get right, or at least understand what's needed to have a successful and fulfilling work life. So these are the 7 prerequisites for a fulfilling career. And jumping straight in at number 1 is it has to be engaging and sufficiently challenging, which is often marked by flow state. There's a well-known book in the non-fiction space called Flow, and flow is that state where you sort of lose yourself, you're sufficiently engaged, and time seems to escape you entirely. And in order to reach this flow state, there are certain requirements that need to be met. One of the main ones is that you have to be at the edge of your ability when you're tackling a particular task. If you're doing something that is either too difficult or too easy, you either reach a point of frustration or boredom respectively. So flow happens when you're in between these two places. You're sufficiently engaged, but you're also not overwhelmed, and then you're able to focus entirely on the task at hand, and like I said, you become so immersed in that particular task that you lose track of time. A general rule of thumb is that you don't want to be the smartest person in the room, but you also don't want to come across as the least capable. So somewhere in the top 25% is the optimal place because you feel like you belong, but you're also sufficiently challenged. And the next one at number 2 is that your work should be aligned with your personal values and purpose. By having a purpose-driven career, it provides a sense of meaning, motivation, and it allows you to engage more deeply in your work. It's not that hard to find yourself in a career that doesn't really matter to you because it runs counter to what you actually care about. And a common example is that if you're a caring, compassionate, or empathetic person and you enjoy being around people, but instead you end up working for a corporation that might pay well, but in some way it exploits or takes advantage of its customers. In this instance, no amount of money is going to offset that friction or emotional toil that will build up over time that makes you feel dissatisfied with your work. So in order to do something that aligns with your values, you have to know what those values are. So it's worth taking some time to reflect on what matters most to you, such as integrity, creativity, or helping others, and then seek careers that embody these values. In the book, Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl brings up the topic of logotherapy, and he posited that finding meaning is the primary motivational force, and engaging in meaningful work contributes to overall life satisfaction. And at number 3 is to utilize your personal strengths. Leveraging your natural talents leads to higher engagement and better performance, and it also fosters a sense of competence, satisfying a psychological basic need. So if you're fortunate enough to be doing something that you feel you're naturally good at, then that's great, but if not, see if you can modify aspects of your job to better utilize your strengths, such as volunteering for projects that align with your abilities. Aristotle had this concept called eudaimonia, and that is, true happiness comes from fulfilling one's potential and living virtuously. Applying your strengths is a way to actualize your capabilities. The next one is to have autonomy or control over your work. And why it's important is that autonomy is a key component of self-determination theory. Having control over your work increases intrinsic motivation, creativity, and job satisfaction. Also, the sense of empowerment leads to a sense of ownership and responsibility, enhancing engagement. In modern times, and depending on your personality, this might mean seeking flexible roles. You could look for positions that offer decision-making power and flexibility in how tasks are completed, but also you can negotiate autonomy. Communicate with supervisors about opportunities for greater independence in your role could definitely be a good place to start. For some, this might be having the ideal desk setup. For others, it might be having the ability to do remote working. And for others, it's kind of a hybrid role where you can make use of both the office space and your home environment. The next one, and at number 5, is opportunities for growth and mastery. This is important again from a psychological perspective because the pursuit of mastery satisfies the human desire for competence, but also continuous learning keeps work engaging and prevents stagnation. Growth opportunities contribute to long-term career development and adaptability in changing job markets. This is particularly relevant today where things like AI, but technological growth in general, is so rapid that being able to adapt is key to having a successful and thriving career. More practically, from a professional development perspective, you could attend workshops, pursue certifications, or continue education inside or outside of the workplace to enhance skills. Mentorship is another good option, and you could try and seek mentors who can provide guidance and facilitate growth. And a good place to start is look towards the kind of people who have the careers that you would ideally want, and then go to them and ask for advice, or if you're very lucky, they might be able to mentor you on a deeper level. The next one, and at number 6, is to have positive relationships and a sense of community. Again, psychologically, social support at work is linked to increased job satisfaction and reduced stress. Positive relationships enhance collaboration and create a supportive work environment. More specifically, having that kind of playful or humorous atmosphere can make work feel less arduous and also a place that you actually want to be and participate in. Ultimately, belongingness is a fundamental human need. Feeling connected boosts morale and engagement. So try to network, build relationships with colleagues through team projects or social events, and definitely engage actively in team meetings where possible, and also try to collaborate in efforts to strengthen bonds. Since work is one of the main places to meet people and make friends, it's worth putting in some time and effort to cultivate these types of friendships. And Aristotle had a perspective on friendship where he considered friendships as essential to a fulfilling life. Strong interpersonal connections contribute towards personal happiness and societal harmony. And last but not least is to have that feeling of recognition or fair compensation. This is important because equitable pay and acknowledgement satisfy extrinsic motivational factors, and feeling valued reinforces a sense of fairness and respect within the workplace. In addition, recognition enhances self-esteem and motivates continued high performance. So it's something that's in the interests of both the employee and the employer to cultivate an atmosphere where recognition is something that is valued. A more formalized approach to this is with performance reviews, where you use evaluations as opportunities to discuss compensation and seek feedback, but more informally is where you create an atmosphere where each team member views other people as part of the same team, and therefore when one does well, they all do well. So now that you know these 7 prerequisites to a fulfilling career, what can you do to move you closer in that direction? Well, it all starts with self-reflection, so you need to actually understand what your career values are, where you want to go, and then you can make a plan and then work towards it. So while it's important to set clear goals, it's also important to be adaptable. Being open to change and willing to adjust your approach as you grow professionally and personally is something that is priceless in the long term. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video or got something from it. If you did, I'd really appreciate if you could like and subscribe. Definitely let me know in the comments section if you have any questions or feedback. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.